Just by way of a brief introduction then, and it's interesting to note that Gurdjieff, whenever he referred to this area, he referred to it as unpleasant emotions. And Uspensky then formalized it into the term negative emotions. And he went to great length and in great detail to explain what that means. So in general, it means things like Mihai was saying with the weather. It's very unpleasant. There's an unpleasant sensation in the body in the instinctive center. And then what happens is we express that. We say to someone, it sure is hot today. I hate this humidity. I'm feeling so tired because of it. And it's unpleasant emotion is being emitted. And that can also be true of the inconvenience of having to get up in the morning when we go to work. We don't want to go to work. We're tired, we're sleepy. We don't like our job. We talk about it. We may even talk out loud about it to ourselves in the kitchen in the morning, self-grumbling. And then we talk to other people about it. We complain about our job. We complain about our partner or our mate to other people. Or it takes a form of complaining, expressing irritation. We express impatience. Think about when you're in traffic, you honk the horn, or you glare at someone, or you yell at them, or you give them the finger, or whatever your tendency may be. It's all this expression. We have an unpleasant, what begins usually as a sensation and then becomes an emotion. So we'll get into that later, how negative emotions actually, and this is one reason why this area is so significant. And I was going to say potent, and it's because it actually involves all four centers ultimately. They all get involved in this tangling into this knot of what the system refers to as negative emotions. So it can include everything from mild irritation to violent anger, or from a mild version of self-pity to a deeper, what I would say, depression. And I don't mean in certain medical situations where a person has chronic depression, but where we're just very depressed. We've had a bad week, and so we're feeling very low, and it's gone beyond just self-pity. It's now become a deep, dark mood of depression. So all of this whole spectrum is what's called negative emotions. And from the point of view of the fourth way, the idea is there's a couple of principles to keep in mind. And I'm just going to say these, probably those of you who've read on this subject already know this, but it's worth mentioning, is one, that the cause of what ultimately becomes a negative emotion is in us. It's in me. The weather may be hot, may be very unpleasant. It may be cold. It may be very unpleasant because it's cold. And the sensation of that is not a negative emotion. That's just a sensation in the negative half of the instinctive center. There's unpleasantness physically. But then when it becomes embroidered into, I don't like this. I wish this was not happening. This is bad. This is terrible. Why does the weather have to be all of this? Now, when it becomes a negative emotion, this is all due to me. This is my reaction, it's not even my reaction, it's my interpretation of my own reaction. Now I'm making it all about me. And this is another characteristic of negative emotions. It's all about me being negative and expressing my negativity. So this principle that the cause is in us, this has a long, deep root that it requires intensive study to really see to the bottom of this, to see to the truth of this, that the cause of the response to our reaction, it's in us. Now, you may say that sounds extreme. I mean, if somebody comes up on the street and slaps me in the face, that hurts. There's definitely going to be a bodily reaction. But where it becomes a negative emotion is where I take it personally. I feel you have hurt me. Who do you think you are in relation to me? This is now all negative emotion. And it's all in me. Because for all I know, this person is on drugs, or they're drunk, or I just had an affair with their wife, whatever it is, they, for their own they have their own good reason, let's say. But my negative reaction is in me. So anyway, this is a long study. This is one reason we've hesitated to dive into this topic without acquainting you first with some of the other major ideas, because a lot of the other ideas connect to this topic. So that's one thing. Causes are in us. Another is that this also sounds funny. We do not need any negative emotions. We can live without them. This is also can sound extreme, but imagine going through your day, going through your life, everything happening the way it happens, and you are there for it while it happens. It doesn't mean you have to like what happens. You may not like what happens, but you don't embroider it, take it personally, make it all about me, and accuse. This is another thing with negative emotions. It's when we turn around and accuse something or someone. Do you know if you're walking down the sidewalk and you trip, you even turn around and look at the crack in the sidewalk to find something to accuse of having, made you stumble and maybe look silly on the sidewalk. Look at that. Why don't they fix this damn street? Things like that. So we don't need our negative emotions. This is so, it even sounds funny when I say it, but I know it's true. It's so liberating and light. Doesn't mean you don't suffer in your life. It doesn't mean things happen that you don't like. You don't want them to happen. It means you do not respond with a negative attitude and a negative emotional sort of pushback. And the word negative comes from the word negare, which means to negate. It means we're negating what's happening when we have a negative emotion. We're negating it. We're rejecting it. I'm hesitating because I know this touches up against the whole idea of suppression and sort of shadow work and all of that. That's another topic or another dimension of this topic. And yet it's still worth bearing in mind what I'm saying from the point of view of the fourth way. We don't need negative emotions. But think about how much space they occupy in people's lives on a daily basis. There was one other thing. Let's see. I think I wrote. Let's see. Oh yes, it is that, and it's something that Ouspensky and actually Gurdjieff also pointed out at the very beginning, and that is not until we stop this expression of these little unpleasant and large emotions can we really observe ourselves. And this proves to be one of the most powerful tools in the fourth way system for self-observation. And the reason is there's so much coming through us and then out of us when we express negativity. And we can't see it all. We just feel it. I'm negative. I'm mad. I'm upset. I'm irritated. I feel sorry for myself. Whatever it is, there's so much going on in there psychologically and instinctively. We don't see it. It all comes through as sort of one package, one burst, and then it's gone. And once it's gone, we can't see it. So when we put a break, we dam it up, but we do it intentionally. We do it consciously, if you will. Now, when we do that, all that material that had gathered in to become that explosion, now it starts to become visible to us inside. Now we can start to see a lot of the different threads that went into making up this reaction in us. And the work then becomes a tracing back to the source and what got wrapped around that source and how many layers got wrapped around, how many layers of me, my story, my life, my suffering, my hatred of you, my whatever it is, got all right. And then boom. And that can become implosion too. Like I say, self-pity or certain forms of depression. It's the same thing. It's the same manifestation. It's like one is high volts and low amperage, and the other one is low volts and high amperage, if you will. If you know physics at all, I'm not a physicist, but I understand that from an electrical point of view, but it's the same thing. Self-pity is the same thing as irritation in different form almost. So Three things to just bear in mind here at the beginning. The cause of negativity is in us. To observe yourself from this point of view in an honest way without repression. Uh, we don't need, you can be in a situation and you don't need to react with negativity, even if someone's being a jerk at work or calling you out. The truth is, we don't need to respond with negativity. And in fact, there are much better ways to respond. Our negativity back is only going to is going to worsen the problem. And then the third thing is, this is a sort of a master tool for self-observation. This changes the game, if you will, of self-observation. This is no longer just observing our movements, our sensations, a thought or a feeling. It's observing how our psychology and our instinctive center work together to manufacture this sense of me. And then it explodes into the world and becomes a demonstrative expression. You know, people think I can really express good negative emotions. I'm tough, I'm hard, I'm powerful, I'm mean, I'm rude, I'm direct, whatever it is. And this becomes, to go back to the earlier topic, false personality. This is false personality manifesting. So those are sort of three. And to me, the most interesting of these, actually, the one that has the most meat, is this idea that we can't really observe ourselves with if we keep expressing negative emotions, we lose all the material really that is there to be had for self-observation and to take us deeper into the psychology of human being.